you know, take a break for a minute and get back on this in September. You guys going anywhere fun this summer? Anyone? You guys
Yeah,
just
we're
all
going.
real estate hounds? That's all you do?
No, we need a vacation, man. We're going to Belize.
You're going to Belize?
Yeah.
Right on. What's the COVID sitch? They just let you roll in with no issue?
No, I mean, you still need to get tested within 72 hours going in, and then also coming home, even if we're vaccinated. So it's kind of, they're just trying to make sure you're not carrying anything. But the other thing too is like for day trips and stuff like that, they are requiring you to coordinate everything through your host, which is interesting. But so we're still gonna plan some day trips, but just not as spontaneous. So yeah.
I was just talking to my travel partners that we have a few families that we travel with for our plans here for the year coming up, and we sort of decided that because I really wanted to go to like Italy or somewhere in Europe or whatever, maybe even who knows, Switzerland, those places.
Yeah.
And we decided with the COVID thing seems to be getting a little crazy again, that not that, I mean, I'm worried about it necessarily or we're vaccinated, but I don't care whether anybody is or not. But what I care about is spending a shitload of money to go to Europe and have everything be closed.
Right.
That's what I don't want to do, right? For those of you that are avid snow people like Joseph here, are you guys, they're opening the Canadian border August 8th, I believe, or 9th, August 9th, maybe. So we were like, oh, let's get our Whistler February trips booked for our ski trips. But we decided, they might all get canceled. So we decided to stay in the US. We're going to go to Park City instead. What do you think, Joe? Who knows what's going on?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, we'll see what happens. We're kind of on that same boat of like, well, or is it going to be as busy as last year was? Because I was pretty crazy with all the reservations and stuff, and hopefully it's not. We're actually in Frisco, Colorado right now, which is right down the street from Copper, which is a fantastic place to ski and snowboard. And I don't know, but it would be cool if the border did open up. I'd love to get up into Canada, do some things.
Well, we can get up into Canada here, I think as of August 9th, maybe. If you're vaccinated, you can, they're limiting it, I guess, if you have to show proof or whatever, but at least we can go. But anyway, what's up, everybody? There's some new faces here. How do I say, Halisa? How are you? Is that how I say your name correctly? Halisa Francis? Yo. Unmic yourself. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. What's going down? Where are you at?
Well, we're supposed to go to the cottage this year, but it's not happening.
Where are you right now?
I'm at home.
Are you in Seattle?
Yeah.
Awesome. And you are a real estate investor, or you're just learning, or you're crushing it, or you're
I'm just
a billionaire?
I'm just learning.
Awesome. Well, this is a good spot to learn and to listen. So thanks for joining us. What else is going on? Who else do we have here? We have my man Dion. We'll let him do all the talking later once I yap my head off here. And what else? Troy Fisher. And Troy, are you like a multimillionaire now or what? Did you sell or refinance? Did you get your cash? What's up?
Yeah, we got a refinance, but it was a terrible refinance. So now we're going to sell.
You're going to sell it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Who do you think the buyer is for your park? Would an institutional buyer buy it or no? Because it's
not yet. We're not at that size, but preferably some stupid Amazon investors or Google investors from California that have too much money and don't know enough about real estate.
Would you, because you want them to overpay for it, I guess, would you find any value in like running it through Jennifer Beadle's list so she has all those investors? Never? You never know. I mean,
Probably not.
those types of people are probably on her list is all I'm saying.
Yeah, the best is to go retail at this point.
Right
It's
on.
Troy.
Troy Fisher.
Who
Keith,
said that? I missed that. Who said it's Troy?
I did. Keith.
Oh, hey,
Pitch.
Keith. Yeah.
Keith, do you have a Idahoan accent now? Keith moved to Idaho.
I don't know if they have an Idahoan accent.
Not yet. Not yet.
Another expat to Idaho, huh?
Hey, Keith,
Hi.
when do you recommend booking Schweitzer for the season? Like,
Oh, really?
or a place to stay, or would you just stay in Coeur d'Alene? Or you don't, or can we stay with
Oh,
you?
no.
Like, roundabout.
You could, yeah, you could stay with me. I have no problem with that. We're 45 minutes away from Schweitzer. Sandpoint, downtown Sandpoint was super easy to go to Schweitzer. That's where we were.
Nice. Yeah, I'm
Old town.
I'm trying to book my travel for the year. Sorry, you guys are stuck with me. This is my show, so you have to like plug it through me and Joe, whatever we want to talk about. Sorry. Well, what else? Who else do we have near? Troy, is there anything exciting you want to kick us off with? Or I'm just so happy to see your face.
Exciting stuff. So we're also, while we're deciding to sell, we're negotiating the purchase of the laundromat next door. And so we negotiated a seller finance, 10% down, 10 years, single payment with collateral substitution.
Nice.
So we backed off from purchasing, and we're asking him to do an LOI, or not an LOI, an option to purchase, so that we can bundle that with the sale of the park.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. What kind of, you guys hear what he said? He basically he's positioning his park to have more value add. So he went and is attempting to get an option on the laundromat next door to give that buyer of his park the option to also close on the laundromat, which is sweet. What's that option going to cost you?
Hopefully not a lot. We just talked about it with the seller yesterday, so we haven't heard back from them about it, but they keep saying that we've got a lot of interest, but you're the people that we want to sell to. So could you tell us when you're ready to give us an offer? So I'm sure that we're the only offer on the table, and they're just trying to create some sense of urgency. So I'm sure it'll be cheap.
Right on. Right on. What else is going on? What's going on with you, Thomas? Look so handsome in your suit picture.
Thank you.
What's going
Nothing
on?
much. I'm pretty boring lately.
You're boring. I'm boring. I'm always boring. I love being boring, right? I call it cash flow boring. Yeah.
Does anybody have any prediction on the lumber? Because I hold off on my addition, kind of waiting for the lumber coming down, and which it has.
Anybody keeping on top of that? Aaron, you taking on top of that?
Yeah, I mean, the last I heard it is, yeah. Go ahead.
Thomas, are you talking about lumber?
Yes.
Well, go to the store I usually go to is Home Depot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recommend yeah.
Good tip. All right. Aaron, do you have any insight on lumber prices?
Well, I just talked to one of the guys that does some of the purchasing, and he said it, I think everybody already knows it did come down about 50%. But I don't know. I mean, I have no idea where it's going from here. I overpay. I mean, I had to buy a lumber package right when it spiked. So that was really painful, but I have heard it's, about 50% of the high.
I always wonder why a group of WARI or SIC or whoever people that they don't get together and make like a bigger bulk purchase to get the price down? Does that make any sense?
Buy futures.
Huh?
Yeah.
Buy futures and take delivery of them.
Yeah, I mean, is
I think it's
there,
an interesting idea, but I think it's just, when you're bidding for an actual project, I mean, obviously 2x4s, everybody's going to need 2x4s, but you don't know what else you're going to need. If you're going to need like we needed a whole truss package for our Kirkland property, and there's just a lot of unique lumber in addition to just bundles of 2x4s for the framing. So I don't know. It's an interesting idea though. I think that's kind of cool. But
somebody should start like a side hustle as a lumber broker.
No
Right.
doubt.
No
doubt.
Side hustle city. What else? Elaine, tell us about you. Is this your first time or second time, third time? What's your discipline in real estate? Elaine dropped off. Or not? Anybody? Did I lose Elaine?
Hey, this is Dave. Regarding the price on lumbers, I was talking to a guy yesterday who's investing in commodities and futures, and lumber price in that arena is dropping, and but it'll still be about 25% above what it is now, is his projection by the end of the year. Was talking to, and then we were talking about the price of half-inch sheet lumber yesterday, or plywood, at $72 a sheet. And so the projection even there is, well, the prices are coming down, but it'll never come down to what it was originally. People get used to paying the higher price. And so what you may see in another month or something like that is some sort of pricing competition going on between some of the suppliers, such as, Home Depot, Lowe's, some of the lumber yards. In fact, you might even get a better deal at a lumber yard than you would at the big box store. That's all I've got.
Yeah, we often go to Dunn Lumber or Compton. I gotta say, Home Depot and Lowe's is just horrible for plywood and lumber. If you want quality straight stuff, but yeah, the prices, I've definitely seen prices come down as well, and I think a lot of people have held off from buying, which probably drives it back down as well, right?
All right. Yeah. Holly, why don't you ask the group what you just put in the chat? Holly, are you with me? I can talk a little bit. Oh, okay. Well, Dion and Holly are talking on the chat. So Holly's got a duplex in Gig Harbor that she is wondering if anybody's interested in. Dion raised his hand. She'll talk about it in a minute. She can't talk. So we'll keep rolling here. What else is happening? Kim, your mic doesn't work today in your video, so you're listening.
I got some fun news, Julie.
Okay, do it.
Yeah, so we got into the tiny house space, and my wife and I set up a B&B with our first tiny house, and it's doing really, really well. First month in the bag. Wish I had really figured this out a while ago, but yeah, the cool thing is, yeah, so we've got that running on our property, but then we've got another property under contract in Fife with a double wide mobile that we're going to get rented out. And then we're negotiating with the neighbor for a lot next door. That'd be great for another tiny house.
Nice.
So we're kind of learning the space and starting to see a lot of opportunity, and getting seller financing on the land with mobile, and getting kind of a lease with an arbitrage opportunity with the land next door. So that's pretty fun. Yeah. So we're keeping pretty busy and on top of that stuff.
Where's your tiny house?
Sorry, what was the question?
Sorry, where's your tiny house at?
So, it's on our property in Tiger Mountain.
Tiger Mountain, okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Are you managing the Airbnb, like, what do you call it? My head just went.
No, that's okay. Yeah. So my wife it's her business. So I'm the manual labor. She tells me what to build. I build a deck. So I put in, do all sorts of stuff for her. But yeah, we basically got it on Airbnb and the Vrbo platform. They have an integrated calendar, and then we're using a tool called Turnover B&B, which helps us coordinate with a cleaner. that comes in and does the turnover for us. So yeah, everything else my wife is managing except she's using an external cleaner.
So what
Oh, cool.
hiccups did you have and you were like that you've learned on this first round or two?
Oh my gosh. So site prep is a huge deal. You know, you've got to understand, you know, we had to bring in utilities. We had to figure out how to get rid of waste. I ended up building and installing a septic system myself. We trenched for utilities, brought them down, had that all set up. And then also, when you live on Tiger Mountain, the power goes out once in a while. Sorry, what's that?
Permit the septic?
We did not.
Okay.
No. So it's just kind of in a private part of our property, and you know, we can decommission it and just take it out if we need to. So yeah, it's, you know, there's a lot that's going on with that, but it's a lot of work, but we also built a deck for it, got it all sorted out. And then the power went out with our first guests, transformer blew down the street. So we ended up getting, we just bought a new a generator that has a 50 amp plug, just so we can plug the entire house into the generator if that happens again. So less disruption for our guests. But yeah, so we're learning that kind of stuff. And so as we're looking at the next lot, you know, we're just making sure we've got all the utility stuff figured out. It's already there. Fortunately, there used to be a mobile home that burnt down on the lot. So we're just going to kind of take advantage of the existing infrastructure for that one.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Is this your new MO then? You're going to be focused on trying to pick these up. Do you find that this kind of thing is more lucrative for you than, you know, a traditional house flip?
Well, I mean, totally different animal, right? So we'll keep flips going in the, you know, couple of flips going just to get the capital to buy them, because buying them for cash is easier. But as far as the actual rental income, I mean, for example, you know, we've been renting our basement out for many years, and that, you know, we're up to $17.95 a month on the basement. We're already grossing $2,800 in the first month on the tiny house. So it's
wow.
It's huge, and our basement would probably rent out even better than that because it's really cute too. But
what do you net out of 2,800?
I was trying to figure that out. So I mean, there's no mortgage. Well, there is kind of. So basically, we borrowed from ourselves, and my wife is setting up like a payment of $725 for that. Actually, I did figure out the net. Hold on one sec. I can get that number right now. I think we figured out that we're netting cash flow on the tiny house. Where'd it go? About 1,780 is net. So even more than our gross on the basement.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
what kind of renters? Sorry to jump in. What kind of renters or Airbnb renters are you getting? Is it like mountain bikers and hikers and stuff? You know, in Tiger Mountain area, or
yeah, you know, they're coming in from all over right now. I mean, we would love to cater to the mountain bike crew, the ski crew, you know, because we're right on Tiger Mountain, so we're right in the midst of it. I'm an avid mountain biker, so I love that and can guide people around the area. But you know, right now we're getting a lot of people traveling from other states that are coming to Seattle for whatever reason. Some people are from Washington, but they just need to come up to this area for course camp for their daughter, or you know. It's been a lot of different folks, but it's been cool. Yeah,
cool. I'm checking out your LinkedIn, and the picture it looks really nice. So
thanks.
Did you do some of the work yourself as well, or
it was almost all done when we bought it. The only thing that we did on the interiors, we built a second loft. So if you see pictures for a twin bed loft, I built that and made sure it design wise it fit with the rest of the look and feel.
Nice. Looks great.
Who built the tiny home? Was it Seattle Tiny Homes, or?
It was not. We actually were looking for like a pre-built model, and so we found a guy that's a finished carpenter out of Wisconsin, and he had moved to Texas, and so it survived a Wisconsin winter and then a Texas summer. And he's a finished carpenter, so the interior just looked fantastic, and he had, you know, professional plumber and electrician do the other bits of work. So it wasn't RV certified or anything like that, but it really, the craftsmanship is just really top notch. So
yeah, I like all the shiplap on the walls.
Yeah,
and stuff. That's really cool.
So,
Yeah.
so you didn't buy it from like a tiny home company. You just met some dude and you're like, hey, will you build me this tiny home because you're a kick-ass carpenter?
No, he built it for himself. So he was just selling a finished unit. So he built it to live in, and then he had moved to Texas and thought he was going to make a new life out there. Didn't quite work out. So he moved back to Wisconsin, and he just tried to sell the tiny house. And we went and looked at a bunch of, we went down to Oregon to look at 2 or 3. We looked at several here in Washington, and then we found this one online. And I, sight unseen, it's a little scary, but I talked to the guy for like 2 months, and he was just totally casual about it. And eventually I said, I think we're going to buy your tiny home, but I want to go see it just to make sure, there's no surprises with it. Would you meet me down in Texas? So he flew to Texas. I flew to Texas. It looked better in person than it did in the photos. And, he showed me all the ins and outs, and, just a real neat guy. So we ended up, what's that?
How'd you get it up here?
So we found a transport company. We called several, picked one that, just had better scheduling, fully insured. Cost about $5,000 to move it from Texas to here. And because the price was so good, and I even negotiated the price with the guy because I said, hey, I'm gonna have to pay $5,000 to ship it. Would you split that with me? And so, yeah, he came down on his price. So, we bought it for $53,000, which is a lot less than you can buy one through, anything equivalent. And then, $5,000 to ship it up here, $5,000 to get title in our name, to insure it. I did a whole write-up on WARI about all the costs and stuff like that, but I think we're all in about 85 with, site prep. We had to build an access road, paying the trades to bring utilities down, chiropractor visits for my back, stuff like that. Did too much of the work myself. So.
Wait, so how does that mean you're into it for like, I guess I could read the WARI post. You're into it for like 90 or something?
I think somebody did some quick math. I think it's about 85.
85.
On startup. Yeah. So.
And there's no real estate tax associated with this because it's just right on your property.
Correct. Because it's real property. It's not, and it's personal property, not real property, because it's on wheels. It's like an RV. But we did pay for title. So we transferred title, and that, you do have to, it's a kind of a weird process. Like they want you to prove like the value of it and that sort of thing. So they go through like a little appraisal, compare it with other ones. I don't know, they never came on site, but like they just go with the size and that sort of thing. They will validate. So that was pretty pricey too, but we wanted to do that to get it insured.
What's going to happen when you pick up one of these side properties, adjacent properties, and you need another tiny home? What's your plan?
So I'm looking, so there's one of our kind of our runner up was a group in Fall City. So Fall City Trading Post is like an outlet for a local builder. And we've seen some of their models, and they're really phenomenal. And you can get them between 68 and 95,000, like fully decked out. So that's an option. We'll talk to Todd over at Seattle Tiny Homes, but his models, he built a pretty high-end product, and they're quite a bit more expensive. So, but he's got some different models and that sort of thing. So, we'll shop around. We might look for another used one if it's got the fit and finish.
So here's another question. If you're in the future, I know you're trying to pick up adjacent properties because that's easy for you. It makes sense for you to have those right there. But if you were looking as an investor for these going forward, I was talking to Dion, for example, on some of his multifamily properties, like, man, maybe if you have some extra space, you can add, another unit or something here, or I don't know how that compares to building actually like some more buildings, like unit wise, right? Like that. I'd love for somebody to do that comparison. Find me that person so I can put them on the podcast that has done the analysis of, should I build more duplex or triplex on my property that I have existing units on, or should I put tiny homes on there? You guys help me find that person, and you can be on the podcast with me, and we'll blast it to the world here. But I find that interesting. What would you be looking for, Aaron, knowing what you've had to go through if you were picking up other properties? I know Holly, who can't talk yet, probably is probably interested in this as well, and maybe some of the rest of you guys are too. Maybe even Jai. Maybe you have some extra space out there in Bellingham on some of your properties. Man, that would be. What would you be looking for? Like, what would disqualify? Maybe it's better to say it in reverse. What would disqualify a property?
So if you can't get utilities to the property, I mean, there are ways to do off-grid. We just haven't learned that model 100% yet. But in an ideal situation, you know, there's utilities that can come to the property. The cool thing is the property does not need to be buildable. So like there's some land out here that is called recreation land only, but there's still utilities at the street. Those are ideal because like, you know, learning from Todd McKellips, is that how you pronounce the last name? McKellips, yeah. You know, he was saying you could get up to 3 on a property without triggering like any kind of commercial venture. So if you've got a property that's not buildable.
Property, why would would permitting or would zoning allow you to put 3 on there?
Well, I think because they're short term, it's like bringing in your RVs to your property. It's, you know, it's kind of a whole different animal.
And then if somebody polices you to drag them off there once every 2 weeks or something like that, right?
No,
I mean,
there's none of that. If it's your private property, you can have whatever you want on your private property as long as there's no CCNRs or HOA that requires you to move a trailer. It's like having my travel trailer on my property. Think about it that way.
Aaron, did you look at the cost of building one versus, you know, buying one pre-built like that?
I did not because, you know, we were just looking for one that was already ready to go. I mean, we already, you know, we had no idea how much time it would take just to get the lot ready for it.
Yeah.
Where we put it. But you know, now we've learned a lot of those pieces. I mean, we can, you know, we got a guy that can place it in a very tricky spot. We've got, you know, the coast to coast transportation. We got, you know, we've learned different things. So, hold on. Do you need my help?
Alex, you said never buy when there's an HOA or a COA.
Yeah, I was just riffing on what Keith said. Like, you know, just you never want to, like, you know, maybe there's I'm very biased against HOAs and any kind of like condo association, homeowners association, because I always feel like, you know, someone is going to make some kind of stupid rule just to mess with you, especially if you're a landlord or something like that. You know, someone's going to complain, some busybody.
Right. Well, I see Gus is on here. Hey, Gus, what's up? Can you hear me? Gus, can you hear me? If you can hear me, I'm gonna like give you a really great idea. Gus is a wholesaler, so he's always looking for deals. Man, you should connect with Aaron or Todd McKellips, for example, and say like, what are you looking for? Seems like the type of properties and dirt that these guys would be using for this model would be somewhat, in some ways, a little bit, I would say, easier to pick up in some ways. I don't know why I feel that way. I could be totally wrong, but Gus, if you can hear me, it'd be fun to get you and Aaron together and see if you can go find some of that stuff, you know, for the group here.
Yeah, the thing I'm focusing on right now too is seller financing options, because, you know, with that land, it's a little harder to finance land doesn't have a permanent structure on it. And so, you know, I'm specifically looking for those kind of properties where it's land that's, you know, the seller's not having a good, you know, they're not being able to do anything with it. So they're just trying to monetize the land a little bit.
Hey, Troy, you know, like, don't you have extra pads or pad space or whatever at your mobile home park?
It would not make for a good Airbnb experience.
Gotcha. No, well, let's say I understand what you're saying, but what about the alternative of, is it cheaper to buy something like that versus a mobile?
No. I mean, there are a lot of parks that are going to the park model, which are basically just tiny homes, but situated for parks. You know, they're just as expensive and they're not as big. So if you're looking to create like a park, family friendly park, then you want full mobiles. Yeah.
You know, back in the day, you know, when mobile homes were talked about. I'm older than you guys. So I remember like in 2005, big topic of developers buying mobile homes and scraping them and putting up stick-built new construction. Would that apply in your area?
Not at the park that I'm at. I mean, it's there. All the Seattle ones have gone that way. Most of the 2 downtown Bothell ones have gone that way. That's part of the gentrification process that everyone's fighting against right now. So I mean, for me, we'll probably net. We're looking at netting anywhere between $1.5 to $2.5 million on the sale of this, which would give me, over 2,000% return on my investment in 2 years. So I don't really care. I just want to sell and redeploy capital. But Aaron, I'd be interested in a conversation with you. I'm looking at 75 acres around here, wooded, that I'd like to purchase and do some tiny homes, do some high camp, glamping kind of stuff.
Yeah. Let's grab coffee or something.
Yeah.
Awesome. Alex, is anybody coming to you with, or Keith, one side of the coin and the other here with financing stuff in regards to ADU projects, or I imagine, or any, I don't know how you get in the tiny home thing, but do you have any ADU or stuff like that stuff cross your desk, Alex?
Yeah, so we actually do and have financed a couple of ADU builds down in the Bay Area. It's not something that's like, it's a process that's still evolving, right? So right now that kind of financing process is still a little bit rough. It still requires you to outlay a lot of cash, and then we basically reimburse on the back end for that. But it's something that we're doing in the Bay Area for sure. I know that we're putting out feelers for like the Seattle area. I don't think we're willing to do ADUs outside the West Coast right now. So like right now it's like just major cities in the West Coast right now that we're okay looking at it. Outside of that, we're probably not gonna.
So what does that mean? That means somebody's gonna flip a house and build an ADU as part of that process, and you guys are just funding, you're including the DADU as part of the ARV?
Yeah, so if it's going to be a flip, if they're like buying the whole property and building the DADU on it, we can basically include that. And as you build the DADU, like we'll reimburse for the sections of the project as they get done. A lot of our Bay Area clients are working with this model where they have like a DADU builder that basically drops in a fully built DADU onto a prepared pad.
Like a prefab?
Yeah, it's almost like a prefab. Like but I mean, these look pretty nice, to be honest. Like I wouldn't mind living in one of them.
Can you connect me with somebody, an investor that's doing that out of the Bay Area or whatever, and let's put them on the podcast?
Yeah, let me see if I can touch base with a couple of folks.
Just
I
tell
gotta
us what you're doing.
I gotta ask their permission to share information, but yeah, I'll ping them and see what they're up to.
What was the model you're talking about, Alex? Like, are they holding the property? Like, what's unique about the financing? Because if it's a flip, I understand, but like, are they holding it? Is that the thing you're financing, or?
The thing that we found tricky was that again, this mostly applies to the Bay Area. So like, take it with a grain of salt for other areas. But in the Bay Area, I guess there's some kind of ordinance that allows you to build a certain number of DADUs. If you have like a 2 to 4 unit, you can build an X number of DADUs. Like they have this formula for like, the lot size, the housing density of the area. So what a lot of investors are doing is they're taking like a fourplex and they're dropping in 3 DADUs and basically making a 7-unit build. They're working. Sorry, say what, Julie?
Dion, I'm trying to brainwash Dion into doing something like that.
But anyways, like the companies that they're working with to do these DADUs, like a lot of these investors, they don't really want to try and like build them from the ground up. They want to be able to just drop in a prefab DADU. And so the companies that are doing this, they build these essentially manufactured homes offsite, cart them on, drop them in. The tricky part for us as a financer, right, is we usually only want to finance for we usually only want to reimburse for work that's actually completed and is on site. So when like 90% of the work happens offsite, it's tough. Like we really had to work to get our team comfortable with the idea of financing these DADU builds in stages. So, I mean,
So who are you financing, Alex? Sorry, are you financing the investor that owns the fourplex, or are you financing the builder of the DADUs?
We're financing the investor that owns the fourplex. Like they have to put up. Okay. So like, let's say they're building the DADU for like 250. The builder of the DADU requires like 50K up front, 100K once they're like 75 complete, another 50K to get it on site, and then 50K to drop it in and finish it out. And we just had to get our team comfortable with the idea of reimbursing in those stages as it gets done. Like we had to be comfortable with the builder of the DADU, like, you know, their track record, their reliability, the quality of their product, before we could like start being able to do that. Because otherwise, right, the borrower has outlay basically 200K before the DADU gets dropped in, and then we can reimburse at that point, which is like, I mean, it's doable if you have millions, but it's, you know, it's not exactly ideal.
Against the loan to value issue if you're funding that, right?
It's not the value that really bugged us so much, because like all the borrowers that we're working with on this, they already have like a takeout option. Like we're not doing this long term. Like these borrowers are just looking for like basically the like a short term, like 12-18 month note to get it done. And then they're refinancing over to like a commercial note. Because at that point, right, an appraiser looks at that and it says, okay, you have a fourplex and you have 3 DADUs. All right, this is a 7-unit property. Now it's commercial multifamily. Mm-hmm. So we don't have a long-term solution yet.
Do you guys allow, or maybe you don't, cross collateralization to take care of that a little bit?
We can do that. But I mean, anything that complicates these kinds of deals sort of slows down the process. And a lot of our borrowers that are trying to do this in the Bay Area, they're going for more volume. So like what we were really trying to work out was a way to smooth out the process and make it so that they can do it at scale.
So in Seattle, we have ADU Universe, right? Which is, if you guys haven't checked that out yet, you should check it out. And I believe if you look through ADU Universe, there is a link buried in there somewhere where you can literally just put your address in, and there's some sort of thing there that will, I believe, somebody, I don't know if anybody's tried it. I'll go try it now that we're talking about this. And they will pop back out what your property configurations and layout and suggested DADU types are. Has anybody looked at that? Go to ADU Universe. I don't know if Joe can find it while we're talking here, but I'll see if I can find it and I'll put it on Seattle Investors Club. That's that link, because I think it's buried in where you can just add the address. Actually, my VIP education community, which is my broker coaching community, and I call it a hybrid team because I don't take money out of your pocket like a real team. We were talking about this exact thing, about how smart brokers right now should be, sorry, Aaron, I'm tipping you off, should be focusing on learning the whole ADU DADU thing, and whether you're an investor or a broker or you're both or whatever, what a value add to be able to either, you're going to know this yourself. That's probably it. Joe posted, is this it? Somebody can check that link, but you know, and somehow add value even when you're selling these properties. So for example, one of the deals I did a few years ago was where we bought a 1-bedroom, 1-bath house in Highland Park, and we just boarded it up. We didn't clean it up. We didn't clean it, didn't do anything. We just boarded it up, went and got a permit for an addition and relisted it, right? And made 110 grand. That's it. We didn't do anything else. And what I'm suggesting is that maybe there's a way to do that with AD properties that are ripe for the ADU, where you just go get the information or the permit or take a step in that direction to add some value, but don't actually go do anything. Do you guys follow me? Polly is on my squad. This is something that I coach on for my stuff, but it can happen whether, you know, if for an investor too. The other thing I find interesting for all you wholesalers and investors out there is there is definitely commissions are being squashed on brokers. Like there's a commission depression or whatever I want to say it, is coming down. And it is right now. That'll probably change, right? It's like just the market that we're in right now. And I would think that puts pressure on wholesalers because they can't argue how expensive it is to list your property anymore when it's costing you 1%. Do you see what I'm saying? But obviously, if you're going after distress, you're going after people that just don't want to, right? They don't want the hassle and the stuff. If you get what I'm saying. But it is interesting, the whole commission compression thing that's happening right now. Tyree,
Julie,
man, yeah.
sorry. That's actually something that we're seeing in the transportation industry too. There were freight brokers for decades where they would get 30% of the load that they secured for the company that was going to make the delivery, or the owner operator who would make the delivery. And over the last few years, some apps have come out where the apps are taking 8% of the load, and drivers are able to make a lot more money. The companies are able to raise their rates on what they're paying because there's less going to the brokers. And it seemed like it went back and forth for about a year where people couldn't make up their mind on what was better, a human being that can help you make decisions or an app that was running it. And I think that's going to be pretty much the way it goes when you have Zillow and Redfin going, hey, we'll do everything for 1%, but it's not your local hometown person you're going to go to lunch with. I'm curious to see which way that ends up going.
Oh, it's always going to be some of both, right? Right. It's always going to be some of both because, yeah, that's what I think. I think it's that you have to offer a menu, whatever business that you're in these days, because technology and how technology touches your business, you've got to offer a menu of services that people will just choose from. You're saying, how much do you charge? I don't know. That's up to you. Here's the menu. Pick what works best for you. That's how it'll be. That's what we're coaching on. But anyways, what else? Tyree, can you hear me? What's going down? Tyree Payne, he is wholesale. You still wholesaling?
Yes, hello.
Hey guys, if you guys don't know my friend Tyree.
Kind of transitioning out.
Transitioning out. Okay. Why is that?
Yes, ma'am. Well, we more so transitioned into the short-term rental space, and that has been amazing. So just building the cash flow and being able to step away and have to be so involved in the business has definitely been a huge plus.
So what does that mean? Are you doing arbitrage on that? You know, like paying a fixed rate to the homeowner and managing it and taking the spread above?
Yes. So we have a couple apartment complexes in the Beacon Hill area. So we're more so serving the medical professionals and the business professionals in that area. So we have a couple corporate. Well, we have going on 8 now corporate leases, and so it's definitely been really good just building the relationships there.
Is that the gives you a certain percentage of their units that they let you do on short-term rentals, but they don't want to deal with it. So they let you manage it for them and you get the premium spread on the short term. Is that the model?
Not really. That is one of the ways that you can do it. We just do it like based off of our company. So excuse me, we just signed the lease over as if we're the tenant provider. We did let them know exactly what we do and who we serve. And they were completely fine with it. As long as we pay the rent every single month, they don't really care as far as like how much we actually charge. So I guess they had a huge turnover given with the whole pandemic situation. So they were trying they have a good amount of units that are available and have had a hard time filling them. So we've gone in and taken over the leases and fully furnished them. And already have them rented out for 3 months. I think 4 of the units are rented out for 3 months.
That sounds awesome. Is it capital intensive to get started? Because you got to.
Not at all, really. It just depends on how you do it. I know the the course that I'm taking is with Jay Massey. He's been in the industry for a while, but he teaches like how to not only utilize like your own capital, but other investors as well. So you can do like outside investors can invest into helping furnish the units, but you have the option of either purchasing the furniture or renting the furniture or doing a little bit of both.
I gotcha. I was running with that model with a partner when COVID hit, where I fronted as him being you, let's just say, and me being a broker that wants to have an option to serve my clients as I come across these opportunities. Like I had a client that wasn't sure that they wanted to sell their home. They wanted to move to the Philippines for a year and see if they wanted to actually move back there permanently. So they didn't want to let go of their primary residence yet and sell it because they weren't sure if they wanted to come back or stay. So I brought in a short-term rental partner, such as what you're talking about, and needed some funding, some capital, because you had to, we were offering a fixed monthly rent or whatever, and collecting the premium above. And for me, providing some of the capital that was needed to get all this going, I got a 20% cut of the spread, I guess I'll say. But then COVID hit and Airbnb stopped, and we basically lost our money temporarily for a while, recovered it, but so I'm always worried about that because of that experience. I love the model, but there's some risk involved if something goes wrong when you're I'm saying good for you as long as you keep a reserve in case there's another problem, such as, I think we've proven our way through the COVID type pandemic-y stuff that the Airbnbs and that kind of short-term rentals are in high demand even through that process, right? So it's just, that probably wouldn't happen again because everybody's just going to power through everything and realize, they're not going to be as scared when we go through round 3 or 4 or whatever's happening now. Who knows, right? I don't know. Well, good.
Yeah, and
we should grab a coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing, and you're 100% right with that, and that's the mentor that we're actually working with. He really stresses about knowing who you serve. And so as long as you know who you serve, you should be fine in any situation, like even given the pandemic, because there are different ways you can pivot as far as like the pandemic. People still need housing. So insurance companies that have displacements. So there's a fire at the home or there's a flood or whatnot, and they need temporary housing. There's always that avenue as well. Medical professionals was huge. So there are a lot of different ways that you can go.
Well, good, man. Good to see you, see you. We should catch up.
For sure. Definitely.
Awesome stuff. Anybody else? We're 12:20 here today. What's going on in your world, Dion? Got to pick on you.
Not much. Just here to see what I can learn today.
What's the next topic on your podcast show? YouTube.
My next video that I'm scripting now is why I wish I had more debt.
Oh.
And to an investor, you're like, of course I do. But to the people that watch my show that aren't investors yet, it's a brain-breaking concept.
Awesome stuff. Holly, can you talk yet? Not yet.
Yes, I can talk.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, I have a seller. She has a duplex here in Gig Harbor, so I was just going to see if anyone was interested in that. The current rents are $900 and $1,125. Market rents are on the low end and conservative end, $1,700. And per rent-a-meter can go up to 23. I would say maybe up to 2,000 for my experience in the area, but there's definitely upside to the property. It's on an acre, a little over of an acre of land, R10 zoning.
What's the price?
$495. So one of the tenants, their lease is up in October. Yeah, I was actually offered the seller. I was trying to negotiate a seller or a master lease with her with an option to buy in 5 years. But she decided after for her situation that wasn't going to be a good fit for her. So now I'm just trying to find her a buyer.
Cool. Right on. We might have one right here. We'll see what happens. Has anybody contacted you about it yet? Just curious.
No. I've had some people say they're interested, but no, nobody's jumping on it yet. I think it'd be a great long-term buy and hold for someone.
Throw some DADU or some what are we calling it? Tiny homes on there, huh? There you go, Erin. Go
Yeah,
get.
That's what I'm thinking. I think you can do that with R10 zoning, but you have to check with the county. But there's a lot of out here in this area, like a duplex or a single family home with like a duplex setup that's on an acre of land where you can put on an extra building. So I definitely think there's a lot of potential with doing that.
What about if you are living in one of those duplex units? You know, can't you, I don't know, Erin, what do you think about that? So if it's not zoned as an like what's the zoning thing, Erin, with the tiny homes? What is do we need to worry about that or not if you're living there?
As far as I understand, you don't have to worry about it because again, it's private property. It's not real property. So it's like storing your RV and letting your aunt stay in it, you know. As long as it's short term, it just doesn't trigger, from what I understand, it doesn't trigger the ADU dwelling type issues. Again,
So
that's just what my understanding. I'm not an expert.
Anybody in Seattle could have a tiny home on their property and nobody could do anything about it because it's not a DADU or ADU.
Right. If it's a short term. Yep. Yeah, there's like 27 days. You gotta limit stays to 27 days, and then just keep it short term.
In Seattle, you're going to run into short-term rental regulations.
Which will say what?
Yeah.
Well, you can't have more, like the Airbnb regulations, you can't have more than 2 units. If it's someplace where people are going to see it, you're going to have problems. If it's someplace like Erin's property where people can't see it, no one's going to care, right? But if you try and park one in the backyard of your downtown Seattle Craftsman, your neighbor's going to call, and then you're going to need permits because it is a living unit, whether it's personal property or not, and those still need to be permitted.
Yeah.
And how big is like what are the qualifications for a tiny home? Because I've seen some HOAs that you can build anything that's 750 square feet and above. So what would you consider a tiny home? Does anyone know?
You're saying that you cannot go 750 feet or above.
Well, I'm just curious on what qualifies as a tiny home. Is there like a certain size where if you go over 500 square feet, that's not considered a tiny home anymore?
Typically when you get
something like that.
Yeah, typically when you get over 600, then you get into modular homes or manufactured housing and HUD standards. So they try and keep it to like 200 to 500 square feet on those. It's got to be able to fit on a trailer and be moved. So it's got to meet DOT regulations.
I know what I was going to ask you guys about since we're on this topic today. Is anybody following or watching this Boxable thing?
Yeah, that was pretty fascinating, actually.
Right?
Yeah, there's a lot of potential in that.
Troy, are you watching this? I know you're gonna.
Is that the storage containers that they're converting?
No.
No, modular homes that are just
Oh, they pull
Super-
out.
super-
Yeah.
Yeah, super quick setup, and
So
Elon Musk has one now. So
I don't know if it's part of it or what. So what happened is these guys were building these tiny homes, and they discovered that they can't scale because of Dion screwed them up with his trucking and shipping, right? So it's an issue. You can't truck or ship these tiny homes or these or whatever. They didn't fit because they were considered wide loads or something. So these guys went and reverse engineered building the tiny homes, the boxable guys, so they would fit on the back of a truck and meet the guidelines of shipping on the back of a truck. And now they've sold like, what did it say, Aaron? Like 50,000 of them. The government's buying them. They're getting,
I think they're like 2.5 years backlogged at this point. I mean, they've got
know,
just a huge order log.
these
Yeah.
guys go public, you want to get on that one. But it's, why wouldn't that be an answer partially to affordable housing? Right?
Hey, Julie.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine runs a company here in the Port of Tacoma, and it's all NDA stuff. So I don't know why, but you can't talk about the specifics of it. But that boxable isn't just houses. Like they're literally building the fully plumbed and electric walls for skyscrapers that they'll send 19 walls out on a truck, and they're going
They
out
can
and
stack
setting
them?
up a whole 27-story building off the backs of semis, fully just like Legos, basically. Looks like something from Star Wars every time I see this stuff.
Oh shit.
That's interesting. They do that with walls, modular walls as well for architectural walls now for corporate too. So I guess that makes sense.
You know, Ruby Davis had a company he was working with out in where's Sedro-Woolley-ish area. I should ask him about that. Where a couple years ago, he was, doing that sort of stuff. I don't know if Kim's still on here. This is stuff that she might know about. Kim, if you can talk next week, come back and tell us what you think about this, because I know you pay attention to that kind of stuff. But that is interesting, Dion. Now you got me hyper focused on that. I'm gonna be following that closely. That's interesting. If you can find out like what companies are doing this, because I know you guys are all real estate investors, and so am I, but I do play in the stock market as well. Made a freaking killing, I tell you. And these are the types of things we want to know about, right? You can buy their product. We can also buy their company. It's called diversification. So whatever else you can sleuth out of that, Dion, that would be cool. What's your guys' favorite, leaving this on a final note today so we can wrap up. What's your favorite restaurant out in Gig Harbor? Because I got to go out there. Holly, maybe I'll get to see you while I'm out there. Does anybody have a favorite restaurant in Gig Harbor that's kind of cash, not too foofy or anything? Anybody? Gig Harbor peeps? No one? All right. I guess I'm on my own then. Fine. Okay. All right. All right, guys. Anybody want to wrap it up here? We got 1 minute left. Joe is very prompt, so he will cut us off in 30 seconds. Anybody got anything, or we'll catch you guys next week?
Thank you.
Showing up. Good talk. See you guys. Good one today. Ciao.